Okay, I think we're ready to start. So yeah, this is the third webinar in a series that Cimteq are doing on Industry 4.0. This is the Optimum Path to the Smart Cable Factory by Frederik Becker. The first one was by Ali Shihab, the second by Yifei Du. So I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm Pippa Bindin and Fred is doing the webinar today. I'll just run through a few housekeeping. So this webinar should last around 40 minutes with a 10-minute Q&A at the end. If you do have a question, just go to the right-hand side and type in your question there and we'll get to it in the Q&A and then Fred will answer it. If you have any video or audio issues, just refresh the page or try another browser. I know Google Chrome works best for Webinar Jam. And just delete any other programs that you have in the background. That'll just increase the bandwidth for you. Okay, so just a little bit about Fred. So he's Cimteq's regional sales manager for EMEA, which is Europe, Middle East and Africa. He's located in Bremen in Germany, and he has extensive experience and knowledge across the wire and cable industry, making him a perfect candidate for the webinar today. So Fred, over to you.
Thank you very much, Pippa. Once again, good morning to all of you, and thank you for joining this webinar. If you want to get in touch with me, don't hesitate to contact me on LinkedIn. And here's what we are going to talk about today. The title is Optimum Path to the Smart Cable Factory. What we're really looking at is, how do I structure these things? What is the sequence of things that we should be doing to make our factory smart? And there's a few elements to it. We'll be talking about the digital twin, one of those big buzzwords. Then we'll get in detail about the data flow within a cable factory, within a smart cable factory. And once again, we'll look at where do we start on this? How do we get started? What do we do first? Because there's so many things that you can do. And afterwards, we've got our Q&A session. All right. Don't hesitate to type in questions into the chat box as we go. Either you can answer them while I'm talking or I'll answer them at the end. A few words about Cimteq. We've been around since 1998 as a cable company. A cable company not meaning that we ever made a cable. We never made a cable, but we've always been supplying software for the cable industry only. Our main products are Cable Builder and Cable MES. Cable Builder is a dedicated cable design solution, and MES is a manufacturing execution system. We're established in more than 250 plants worldwide. So that's a pretty decent footprint in the industry. We do have a few well-known names as our references. You may recognize some of the names. I think some of the attendees may come from one or two of these companies. Yeah. So we want to talk about the smart factory, but really, what is a smart factory? There's lots and lots of definitions out there written by people that are very smart, but usually don't come from the cable factory. So we've defined our own smart factory. A smart factory is a place for us where manufacturing processes and business processes are automated and connected. Manufacturing processes have been automated for a long time. Business processes have been automated for a long time, but having those automated and connected, that is a key element of a smart factory. But that's not it. We also think that decision-making is automated to a high degree in a smart factory. So it's not only the process that runs through smoothly, but it's also the ability to react automatically to unusual events, problems, and so on. Of course, not all decision making can be automated. There is always the human element to it. But if the human comes in a smart factory, the human will have high quality live data accessible to them. So those three elements are what really makes a smart factory, what it makes it smart for us in the cable environment. Now, what's the purpose of having a smart factory? It sounds very nice, and it's a lot of, we can fill ourselves with, or we use a lot of buzzwords, but what do we really want to achieve with a smart factory? Well, there's two things to it. One is the efficiency side of things. We want to get more out of what we have, use less resources to do more. We want to reduce scrap. That's one of our big topics in wire and cable. We want to reduce error. We don't want to make the wrong decisions only to learn what the right way is. We want to make the right decision straight away. That's efficiency to us. We want to reduce the amount of material that's running around in our production, the inventory, the work in progress. Only have those materials on the, or those inventory on the shop floor that we really need. And there's a whole lot of other things that relate to efficiency. And the other element to the smart factory that gives us competitive advantages in the cable industry is really the speed of things. How quickly can we operate? Like if we talk in the big picture, what is your time from first customer inquiry until the moment they pay you? So all those steps from taking the inquiry, generating the cable design, generating the quote, from the quote, making your work plans, getting it into production, getting it through production in time, and releasing it as quickly as possible. Also being able to react quickly to changing situations, changing market situations or supplier situations. And if you have to make decisions, strategic decisions, new machinery, new people, new operators, make them based on high quality live data. It's a very big topic that in a modern factory, you should be making decisions based on facts, not on opinions anymore. Now, big topic here, a big buzzword, the digital twin. Everybody's talking about it, but really, which twin are we talking about? There can be twins of many things, and for our model of the smart factory, we see three twins as relevant. So the first one, we'll talk about products, the product twin. That means a twin of your design process and the twin of your product data. But there's more to it in your cable factory. You've got your business. So you've got your business processes, your purchasing, your accounting, your HR, your order management, your warehouse management systems. That's what we see as your whole business world. And you do have digital twins there. There's a bunch of solutions out there, but mainly this is led by the ERP system, your SAP or Oracle. And then, of course, the third big topic is your production. Building a digital twin of your production capabilities, your machinery, your plants, and so on. So these are the three core elements from which we start all our initiatives for making cable factories more efficient and more agile, more quick, generating the speed. Let me share, I'll just go into the product twin a little bit because that's one of our specialties. We've got our cable design solution, Cable Builder, which helps you to generate a twin of your products and of your design process. If you want to learn more about Cable Builder, I will not tell you so much today. Contact us, reach out for us for a demo, and we'll show you in detail. But let me show you a few elements that are typically inside a twin, inside a twin of a cable. So the first level of information you have in the cable is your physical dimensions, maybe the number of components, just your physical design. The conductor is this size and the insulation is that size. And if you go to the next level, you will enhance that data with, well, which materials are we using? What is the conductor material? What's the insulation material? Building on that, if you have that information, it would also be useful to understand the quantities. Which quantities of copper do I need? Which quantities of PVC do I need? With that data available, from there you can build your item master for your ERP system. You can build your bill of materials. You can build your routing, because you will assign the machinery to your designs as well. So you've got a machinery level in here. And if you've got your bill of materials, you've got your quantities, you've got your dimensions, you've got your machinery, you can also build a cost simulation. You can simulate, okay, if I need 1 kilometer or 1,000 kilometers of this cable, how much will it cost me to produce it? And if we do this in our cable builder solution, it will also consider changeovers, cuts, twist loss, and all those typical cable parameters. Now, if you want to go really advanced, we can talk about performance simulation. So you can simulate your current carrying capacity. Some external tools will also allow you to do some FEA, a finite element analysis, on your designs. So we provide you the physical design, and you can then send it to a finite element analysis tool that can do wonderful things for the cable development. By the way, once you have this twin, you can easily print it in 3D. That's quite cool. Okay, so that's a first glimpse at what a product twin does. You can do similar things for your manufacturing and for your business. I won't go into detail with those. I'll stay on the high level now. But that being said, this high level, this image looks very simple, but we can go into more detail. I'm trying to show you now what the data flow between those three elements is in a smart cable factory. So we've got our three spaces again, or the twins, or whatever you want to call them. So we've got the product space, we've got the business side of things, and we've got the factory. And in the product space, you will see tools like Cable Builder that help you design and store the designs and make those designs accessible. In the business space, you will find lots of tools, mainly led by your ERP, by your Oracle, by your SAP. Of course, there's more to it, but that's like the leading system. And in the factory, it's now getting a bit more complex. So in the factory side, you've got your machines that drive everything, that do your work, and you've got your operators. If your machines are not too old, they will have a PLC. The PLC drives all those elements in your machine, and it can read information, it can give signals out. And very often nowadays, this is still, like, from the PLC upwards, it's quite manual, quite labor intense to collect the information, or you've got some systems, or you've got Excel-based systems. So the next step today in a smart factory would be to connect all those machines and operators to a single platform. It's what many people call IIoT. What does that mean? It's the industrial Internet of Things. So everything is connected in a factory network. We work with a tool called Wonderware Systems Platform because we believe they are pretty good at what they do. They can connect to all those different types of PLC or Allen Bradley and Siemens all at once, all those different generations. Or if there's like the odd analog machine in there, they have tools to connect to those as well. That's really the first step in a smart factory on the factory level to connect your machinery and read your data, or being able to read your data and being able to write data into your machinery. Now let's think about how the real process is, or like what is the business process here? Typically, we start with an inquiry from our customers, somebody who needs a cable. They will approach sales. Okay, sales is not in here, but they do exist. Sales says, oh, we have never done this cable before. R&D, can you help us? Can you come up with a design? So then R&D will come up with a design. They use Cable Builder, design the cable very quickly, pass it on to sales. Sales gets the order, and the order is being sent to the ERP. Now, before the order, or when the order gets sent to the ERP, something will happen in the R&D space, because they will send things like the item master, the bill of materials, and the routing into the ERP system. That makes it very easy for the ERP system to release materials and work on and release the order basically into the factory space. So the ERP will then push production orders, instructions, issue materials into the factory space. Of course, that's not enough for a cable to be produced. Just a production order doesn't have enough information unless you set it up to be. So with Cable Builder or with your product twin, you'll be also releasing product data, quality parameters, detailed manufacturing instructions to the shop floor. The shop floor then needs to report things back to the ERP. Typically, your progress reporting, what is our work in progress, what are the finished goods, do we have scrap, do we have non-conformance, can we return some materials, and a lot of other parameters need to be reported back. Also, we want to report a little bit back to the R&D department, ideally. If everything is always within tolerance, maybe the tolerances are too big, we can reduce tolerances, save material. If we always fail producing the cable, if we make too much scrap, R&D needs to think about the design again, that sort of feedback. And of course, if the order is in the factory space, people will have to program the machines, release materials or push materials around, and all these machines have to be managed. As you can see from these arrows, there's a gap somewhere in the middle. Now this gap, we fill it with the manufacturing execution system, Cable MES. So Cable MES, whenever Cable MES receives an order from the ERP system, it will automatically pull the right product data from Cable Builder, it will pull quality parameters, and it can then send these pieces of information to or it can assign it to the operators, it can assign it to the machines can automatically be loaded with the recipes, even all the way down to the diameter tolerances for your diameter gauge. So this, what we're seeing now, is really the core of the smart factory. Your 3 elements from which you can then build. In addition, if you have everything digitalized, you're creating lots and lots of valuable data. We use a tool, a storage tool called Historian, that's also part of the WonderWeb package, that can store single-second data of many different types of I/O. So whether it is a temperature curve, diameter values, spark tester events, pressure values, but also orders, operator values. So that can be stored within Historian. Cable MES, on the other hand, also receives a lot of data. The Cable MES, but Cable MES handles events. So if something is finished or if something is non-conforming, that's something that gets loaded into Cable MES, and Cable MES also gives feedback to the ERP side. So from this model, or maybe one more comment about Cable MES. You can see in the logo, you have got these 3 cogs, these 3 gears. These 3 gears are really symbolizing the product side of things, the business side of things, and the manufacturing side of things, that all grab together. And once you combine those, you're generating more valuable data than you had before, because you had individually separated data. Now you're linking your production orders with your products and your manufacturing data. And that will allow you to do some super amazing things, like calculating your OEE, calculating effectiveness or utilization of machinery and operators, how well certain products go through the plant on average, what is your typical time for a production to go through, and so on. But besides this core element, there's a lot of other things you can do. We don't necessarily have an offering for that, but what we have, we're building the foundation here for the future. So another big topic is advanced planning and scheduling. That's what, like in earlier times when I was in university, they called it PPS, production planning and scheduling. But now it's advanced planning and scheduling, because it can do more. I mean, it has those basic functionalities, like it takes production orders from ERP, it has some rules about how the plant works, and it then sends a schedule back to the ERP, and the ERP will issue production orders. But modern systems can integrate, especially on the MES level. So the system will know what's happening on the shop floor. But another line that I didn't draw before, let me try to draw it here, that we have to make is, it really takes your product data, and from the product data, it will know how long something needs to be produced. With these design data, it can improve the models that are behind the simulation for the planning tool. It takes live data from the machinery. It learns, it has learning algorithms. So advanced planning and scheduling is something that can actually work for wire and cable. Classic production planning and scheduling, we've seen a few installations and they don't work so well. If at all, they're good enough, but many people then just resort to Excel. Talking about Excel, every time you see an Excel sheet, it's a good opportunity to improve your factory. Excel is a very manual process. So like in the cable design side, we're replacing Excel sheets with a database and calculation tool. And in the production space, there's lots of Excel sheets that can be replaced with proper databases and proper calculation tools. Okay. Next one. Okay, give me a second. Okay, the next one, smart maintenance. Of course, if you've got all the data available in digital, if you can read your machine values, and you can also have access to the MES system and the history, you will know better when you need maintenance, and you will also know better when it is a good time to do maintenance, considering your current workload, what your schedules are, so you're not scheduling a maintenance right in the middle of a cable run. And if the smart maintenance is well designed, it will integrate directly with your planning solution. And just to make everything a bit more complicated than it already is, there's a lot of AI tools. Let me switch off my webcam so you can see it. Nowadays, there's artificial intelligence-based trend analytics. So you're collecting all this data, and you get data blind because you see so many pieces, so many tags of data that you can't track them anymore. There are tools out there now that monitor the history of a trend, and they will recognize automatically when something is not right anymore. Yeah. So that was a lot just now, and I think there will be a lot of questions around that, and that's something that we typically discuss a lot with our customers. But really, now make it simple. Where should I start? What is the lowest hanging fruit for us? And typically, what we've seen, what the lowest hanging fruit is start working on your product space. Start working at the beginning of things. Where is data being created? It's in the design process where we are creating data. And if you start at the beginning, you can then build from that data. Oh, sorry for this not coming out right. If you're thinking about an ERP update, that's something that happens quite often these days, that people think, okay, we need a new ERP. Shouldn't I be starting with updating my ERP? We think, no, this is not ideal. Do it as a second step, because most ERP systems are generic. There's one very good one out there that's dedicated for cable ERP, it's called, done by our partners Innovites. Great people, great system. But besides that, or even they would prefer to have cable builder set up or a proper design solution to read from than starting with the ERP update, because it's way easier to create bills of materials and item masters and lists of materials and cost calculations in a dedicated solution than in an ERP solution. And typically ERP solutions changes and designs of ERP solutions are very expensive. Those consultants, they charge a fortune. And with tools like ours, you can do it yourself. At the same time, you can start modernizing your production. Now I understand that's a very long process. It's nothing that happens overnight, but get your machinery up to date with modern PLCs, with modern I/O, and modern data collection systems. So that can happen independently of what you do on the business and product side. But once you have those three up and running in a reasonably good fashion, you can also start on the MES, installing a manufacturing execution system. And Ideally one that understands cable, that understands lengths and drums and changing lengths and cuts and twist loss and all those things. In any case, the MES system will need access to high quality data on the product side or on the machine side. Without it, it's not very valuable and very expensive. So we don't see the biggest value. You really get your quality data results, your control of your process if you have the data available. So as I said before, start at the beginning, data is being created on the machine level and on the design level, and then MES takes this data to process it. And once you've got cool things like that, you can work with planning solutions, advanced planning solutions, which then integrate with all these other systems. And you can then also talk about smart maintenance solutions. And probably there's a bunch of other systems that make your factory very smart and efficient that can live off our systems and off those three core elements in your plant. Now, I mentioned it briefly. The cable industry is challenging. We've got our own set of challenges. The process alone is very difficult to grasp for outsiders as a batch continuous process. Is it a batch process or is it something that runs continuously? If you talk to people that previously worked in assembly roles, it's a bit more challenging to understand. We've got the lengths and the drums. Many ERP systems, especially SAP, do have their challenges understanding varying lengths, and that you need to issue production orders of a longer length than what you will get out later on, and that there are drums, and drums can be a piece or they can be a length. Typical challenges. And yeah, I mentioned this. So when installing these systems or in general modern solutions, software solutions, often you're confronted with system integrators that know very little about the cable industry. In the beginning, they are all very optimistic and say, yeah, we can do this. We've worked in so many places. And then it suddenly stops. They are 80% the way, and then the last 20% they fail because they haven't set things up in the right way for cable. That often leads then to risky in-house developments or custom developments of solutions where a lot of money is being spent. And if you're lucky, it works out and it's just expensive and works the way you want it. If you're not lucky, you develop for years and years and you realize it's not working. You might as well have bought a solution off the shelf. All these things, these four things, we see them regularly happen. Now, something we see a lot is people want to make the factory smart, and that's actually the whole reason why I'm giving this webinar. And they pick something and pick a software, a tool that looks great, but they start somewhere in the middle. They don't start at the beginning where the data is being created. So one thing I've seen is people building a smart quotation tool for cables. And so they started right in the middle of the process, doing a tool for quoting cables. But really, it doesn't make sense, and that project failed because before you can do a quotation, you need to get your physical dimensions right, you need to get your material amounts right, you need to get your material costs right, your manufacturing costs right, and then from that, if you have that, you can build your quote very easily. It's just a copy of what we had before. So they had all those other calculations there, but in different Excel spreadsheets, and they couldn't access it properly. They tried to access it with their quotation tool that they were building, but every Excel sheet was slightly different, and then there's different generations of Excel sheets because they've enhanced the calculation, improved things on their Excel model, and it wasn't very accessible. In the end, all the sales guys were doing things by hand again. So they could have saved a lot of money by starting on the design level instead of working with Excel tools, going for a design solution. And once you have the design solution, quoting is a piece of cake. It's just a copy of the design and leaving out some information. Also, I get a lot of inquiries from customers that run a lot of analog machinery, very old machinery, 40-year-old machinery, and they ask me about an MES solution. Yeah, we could find a way to do it, but really it's not ideal. You want to make use of the capabilities, full use of the capabilities of a manufacturing execution system. That being said, if you've got a very modern factory, but one or two old extruders standing around, that's something we can deal with. There's no problem dealing with exceptions and the old machine. There's always ways around that. Well, same goes for planning tools. If you don't have the data available, if you don't have a model of your production and your products, a smart model of these tools, it will be challenging to get to a situation where the planning tool will provide you an executable plan. You'll get a plan, that's all right, and then you push things around again. But really it's not ideal. You want to automate these things because why do we do this again? We want to be more efficient and we want to be faster in what we do. So just a few words about the big picture, what we can do. I mean, I mentioned it. You will be able to do your planning based on live data. You will do preventive maintenance integrated with scheduling based on your actual machine data. You will have AI available to use for setting tolerances, monitoring trends, finding the weak spots in your factory, so that you really get to a position where you have optimal utilization of your resources, that being your operators and your machines. Another cool thing is when you have a model of your factory, a proper simulation running that's provided by many planning tools, you can make good decision making about, what happens if I install a new machine for this, or if I put more operators in the plant or less operators. What if I just rearrange it physically in the space? And you don't need to do it to find the result. You can actually simulate it very well with these tools. But you need to have those digital to have a quality model. And you can, all these things, they work for a lean setup if you have mass production, as well for a flexible setup if you only do short lengths and custom cables, or the other extreme would be, like, I don't know, building cables, your 1.5 mm square cables. So a lot of other things are possible. I'm sure I haven't mentioned a lot of other good tools that you can think of. But yeah, once you've got the master data right, the core data right, you've got endless possibilities. And I'm almost through. So just to sum it up, really the quality of your data models in the product space, in the business space, and in the manufacturing space drive your efficiency and your competitiveness. So everyone has an ERP system, so the business model is typically set. to a certain degree. Of course, it can always be improved. The next step would be to work on the cable design process. At least that's what we recommend, because it's a low-hanging fruit and you need to get rid of those pesky Excel tables that only one smart person can use. And every Excel sheet is an opportunity for improvement. Get rid of those Excel tools, because Excel is not a good tool for having processes managed. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. It has been a pleasure. Now, go ahead, ask your questions.
Thank you for that, Fred, and thank you everyone for attending. So yeah, now we're just going to have a Q&A. So if you have a question, type it into the box on the right-hand side, and then Fred will get round to answering it. Thank you.
Also, if you're shy about asking questions now, don't hesitate to contact us afterwards. Go to cimteq.com or add us on LinkedIn, or contact us on sales@cimteq.com.
Yeah, as Fred said, so you can just contact us anywhere there. Also for one-to-one demonstration, just visit the website and someone will be in contact with you. Maybe even Fred, get a personal demo from him. Yeah, so this webinar will be available to watch again on the Cimteq
Okay, we've got
Academy.
a question. How can
great.
remote monitoring fit in as part of these solutions? Okay, let me go back. Let's go a few slides back. Sorry. Stop. Okay. Well, the remote monitoring basically is where you tap into your solutions here on the factory plan, factory model. Historian will be a great tool to do this. So Historian stores all the data, and you can build great dashboards on this data. And you can also tap into MES, and then we talk about how you want to have the system set up, what kind of data you want to monitor. But those tools can give you access to different dashboards, whether it's on the plant, like a shop floor big screen, or whether you want to have it on your computer in your office. Does that answer the question? Thanks, David. Any other questions?
Yeah, any more questions? We can leave it open. Okay, yeah, so we're just going to end it there. So thank you everyone for attending, and thank you, Fred. As I said, it's available on Cimteq